Now, some say that size does not matter.
Long, long bed.
Sometimes it definitely does.
Long, long, long bed.
Relax, we're talking about a pickup. This is the Radar RD6 Long Bed. It has the longest bed of any double cab pickup in the Philippines. But is it worth the money? Let's find out.
The Radar RD6 will come in multiple variants in the Philippines, both in BEV and PHEV configurations. There are also 4x2 and 4x4 variants. In this video, we'll focus on this long variant.
What we have here is the fully electric 4x2 long bed variant. Now it's called a long bed because the bed has been stretched. In fact, this has the longest bed that you can get from a double cab pickup here in the Philippines. You can't get a longer bed than this unless you opt for a single cab pickup. The bed itself is over 1.8 meters long, but even though it has a very long bed, the cabin is not compromised. You still get 4 full-size doors. You get a lot of space inside the cabin, which I'll show you later. Now the RD6 long bed comes with an assisted liftgate. So as you can see, we have dampers here, which makes lifting the liftgate a lot easier. It's a lot lighter. And also, if I let it go, it doesn't make a lot of noise. Now this comes standard with a bed liner, a plastic bed liner. Now if you're curious about the measurements, I brought a tape measure with me. Now the opening of the bed is about 125 centimeters. In between the wheel arches, it is... Now I'm not an expert at this, so just consider these as approximate dimensions. So that's about 98 centimeters in between the wheel arches. Now as for the length, it should be 1.8 meters. Let's check. And it's pretty close. We are at 1.74 meters. Now as for the height, the height is 54.5 centimeters. Now, unlike most pickups in the Philippines, the Radar RD6 is not based on a ladder frame chassis. It is based on a unibody chassis.
Now don't let the fact that it's based on a unibody chassis fool you. It is pretty ruggedly built. The chassis is made of 66% high-strength steel, and it has a claimed twist resistance of up to 30,000 Newton meters. As you can see, the subframe and the suspension components look robust. It sits on coil springs and has independent suspension on all 4 corners. Its rear-wheel drive and the motor is housed within the subframe, and it also has a spare tire, which a lot of EVs lack.
Now, if you're not familiar with the Radar brand, it's under the Geely umbrella. So the Radar RD6 actually shares a lot of parts with Geely. Now, looking at it from the front, it looks more like a crossover than a pickup. It has softer styling. It's not very high off the ground. It doesn't have the boxy proportions of most pickups. Now, on the long bed variant, we get projector halogen headlamps, LED DRLs. Of course, since it's a full EV, you don't have a grille here. This is just for design. It gets 17-inch wheels wrapped in 225 65 R17 tires. You got disc brakes on all 4 corners, of course. Power folding mirrors. You don't have roof rails. You don't have a stepboard, as you don't really need it. You have a smart locking system. You have a steel roll bar. You have these tie-down points. We get LED tail lamps. You have this cladding over here with the Radar logo on it. You have an unpainted plastic bumper. So under the hood, you have your fluids. You have your cooling system. You have a lot of electronics. And you also have a lot of space here. We definitely have enough space here for a frunk, which we don't get on the long bed version.
The long bed variant gets a single rear-mounted motor that puts out a healthy 241 horsepower and 309 Newton meters of torque. The 4x4 variants have dual motors that produce up to 375 horsepower.
Now this comes with a 75 kilowatt hour battery, which is good for almost 400 kilometers of range. To charge the battery, we get a GBT charging port here. It supports both AC and DC charging. Now here in the Philippines, we still prefer having Type 2 charging ports, as we have more Type 2 charging ports in the Philippines. But yeah, Ayala also offers GBT charging ports, and you can charge this at home. So you can plug it to a regular wall outlet. And now we're charging. Let's see. So we are currently charging. Yeah, so you can plug it to a regular wall outlet, although it would be advisable to use a separate line just to make sure that it's safe.
Now on the inside is where you'll really see Radar's connection with Geely. I'll take you on a tour around the interior after a quick word from our sponsor. Introducing the AtoSport Mobility Scooter, the world's most innovative mobility scooter. It folds into a small suitcase size, and it has wheels so you can move it around like a trolley. It separates into two parts. It has leather seats and grips, an illuminated LCD dashboard, enhanced lighting for extra visibility. You can install optional armrests. It's perfect for seniors as it's easy to lift and unfolds in seconds. It has a maximum speed of 10 kph, shock absorbing flat free tires, high ground clearance, advanced braking system. Be free to travel anywhere, land, sea or air. It has 20 kilometers of continuous driving range. Engineered with flair, designed with passion for performance. Be active, be free, be yourself. AtoSport, moving life.
Okay, so we're now inside the Radar RD6 Long Bed. Now, if you've been inside a Geely Okavango, this interior would look very familiar. In fact, the dashboard looks almost identical. These louvers over here are the same as the ones on the Okavango, or at least they look very similar. These accents around the louvers, this leather wrap panel over here, yeah, it looks very similar to the Okavango. Now, for a fully electric pickup that's at 1.5 million pesos, that's the price of an entry-level Ranger or Hilux. This interior looks very good. You got leather-wrapped seats. Both are manually adjustable. You get plenty of soft touch materials here, like this is soft touch, this is soft touch. You have soft touch armrests. You get a nice infotainment screen with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also get a reverse camera. Yeah, the materials are not bad. You still have plastics here, but they don't feel that cheap. Whatever buttons you have feel nice. They feel they have a good tactile feel to them. The only thing though is that the steering wheel is polyurethane. It's made of plastic. On the top spec model, this is covered in leather, but everything else feels quite upmarket for the price. You have a start-stop button. You have cruise control. You don't get ADAS on this long bed version. You will get ADAS though on the top spec PHEV variant. There is no wireless phone charger here, but you do have an electronic parking brake without a hold. You have one USB-A port over here. I can't see any other USB ports here at the front, so you only get one USB-A port. You have two deep cup holders over here, one for a pretty big cup and one for a smaller cup. The armrest opens this way, which is quite fancy, and inside you have pretty decent storage. The glove box is decently sized, and to open it, you have this button over here. It is not dampened though. You don't have vanity mirrors on the visors on both sides, I believe. Yes, that's correct. You also have a fully digital instrument cluster. Now here at the back, space is more than adequate. I have a lot of knee room here. Headroom is also a lot. The flooring is almost completely flat, and the thigh support is quite decent, at least for a person of my size. Now in terms of toys, we don't get aircon vents back here. There are no USB ports. There is no center armrest. But you do have cubbies here for storing items. The Radar RD6 is a very quiet car to drive. It's almost too quiet, especially for a pickup. I feel like if I do a long drive in this car without music, I would suffer from sensory deprivation. It's just exceptionally quiet inside the cabin. Of course, there is no engine noise because there is no engine, but aside from that, very little outside noise gets into the cabin. There's very little tire noise. Actually, there's almost no tire noise, almost no wind noise. Look, I can't hear the cars around me. That was a diesel. This is a diesel, and I can't hear them. It also feels exceptionally stable on the highway. It doesn't feel like you're driving a pickup. So far I'm averaging about 16.8 kilowatt hours every 100 kilometers on the highway. Yeah, that's a distance of 24.8 kilometers, which is not bad for a vehicle of this size.
Now as for the actual range, obviously I didn't drive it all the way down to 0, as that would be quite problematic. But based on its average energy consumption of 16.8 kilowatt hours every 100 kilometers and its battery capacity of 73 kilowatts, it should do about 434 kilometers if you were to drive it like I did, which was in eco mode with light throttle application. Of course, your range will vary depending on your driving habits and settings.
Now the Radar RD6 handles very well for a pickup. There is no comparison if you compare it to something like a traditional body and frame diesel pickup. This feels more like driving a sedan that's slightly higher off the ground. We actually drove this around the track in R33 Pampanga.
The RD6 does not handle like a pickup at all. It drives like a sedan with a lot of power and is rear-wheel drive. So you can do donuts or drifts like this if you turn off traction control. Of course, you shouldn't do this on public roads, but in the right situation, it's quite possibly one of the most fun pickups that you can drive for the price. It is also very quick. It can do 0 to 100 kph in approximately 6.8 seconds.
Now, the Radar RD6 Long Bed sells for over 1.5 million pesos. Now, because of the recently implemented excise tax on pickups, this is now slightly cheaper than entry-level pickups like the Ranger XLT and the Hilux E. Now, compared to those entry-level variants, this definitely feels a lot more upmarket. You get a much better interior, you get a lot more features, and also because it's electric, you get lower running costs, you get much better refinement, and also you get number coding exemption. Now, that is very important. Now, it has a lot of advantages over regular diesel pickups, but also this caters to a very specific market. Now, it is cheaper to run, but also you have to be able to charge at home to maximize your cost savings. You can charge this in public charging stations, even with a GBT charger, but it's not as cost efficient. It's more expensive to charge in public charging stations. And also, the best time to really charge is at home. You can do it while you're sleeping, so you don't lose any time. That's the best way to charge your EV. And when you wake up in the morning, you have a fully charged EV without having to lose any productivity. And that long bed over there makes it one of a kind in its segment. Now, that is the longest bed that you can get in the Philippines among double cab pickups. It is even longer than the bed of the local spec Ford F-150. That's how long it is. So if you need to load really long furniture, really long items, while being cocooned in comfort and having the perks of an EV like number coding exemption, this may be one of your best options, if not your only option.